I told him, "Do exactly what I say," and he did. He decided, "I'm not talking about blind faith or magic. I'm talking about focus, action, and responsibility." When he decided what he wanted and committed to it, even without knowing how, things started to move. Today, he has an abundant life, and more importantly, peace with who he's become. You don't need to know how it will happen. Just decide what you want. Because when you decide, you change your frequency. And only then can you access ideas, resources, people, and situations that were previously invisible. Many say they lack money, but money is never the problem. It's the idea, the decision. Those with the right idea and the decision to act find the money. The universe responds to clarity and commitment, not hesitation. How many times have you decided to do something and suddenly coincidences, unexpected meetings, opportunities appeared? It's not luck, it's frequency, the universe responding to your decision. But there's a catch. It's not enough to say you've decided. It must be a non-negotiable, irrevocable commitment. When you truly decide, you burn the bridges to plan B. You stop saying, "If it works out," and start thinking, "How do I make it work?" Most people live as if they have all the time in the world. But time doesn't stop. Every day spent in doubt is a day further from the life you could be living. Some say, "I don't decide because I'm afraid of making mistakes." But the biggest mistake is the lack of decision, condemning you to a lukewarm, directionless, unfulfilling life. It's better to decide and correct along the way than to remain stagnant, waiting for a guarantee that will never come. What have you been putting off? What decision do you know you need to make but haven't had the courage for? This is it. Because when you decide, you activate a force that changes the course of your life. Here's a challenge. Choose one pending decision, something that's bothered you for months or years. Make that decision today. Really, write it down, commit to it, and don't negotiate. Do this for 7 days and observe how your mind, body, and even conversations begin to shift. You'll realize life doesn't happen by chance. It responds to your vibration, and your vibration is shaped by your decisions. Deciding is the most powerful act you can perform. Don't outsource it. You have this power. Use it. Start now. Everything in the universe vibrates. Everything, from the smallest particles to your thoughts. This isn't motivational fluff. It's physics. Every thought emits a frequency. Every emotion, every word vibrates at a certain frequency. Few understand that you can only attract what aligns with your frequency. It's like a radio station. You can't hear 102.9 FM if your radio is tuned to 88.5. You might want 102.9, but if you don't change the frequency, all you'll hear is static or a different station. How many times have you desired more money, love, freedom, but continued thinking like someone lacking, frustrated, or needy? Then wondered why things didn't change? It's not desire that attracts, it's frequency. Most people spend their lives trying to achieve something at a higher frequency than they're willing to operate at. They want a new car, but dwell on debt. They want peace, but fuel internal conflict. They want a new job, but vibrate fear and insecurity. It's like trying to access the internet with a disconnected cable. No matter how much you click, nothing will load until you're connected. That connection is through your mind. When you think, you emit energy. When you believe, you strengthen that energy. When you act in alignment with your beliefs, you shift to a different vibrational band. I remember starting my cleaning business. I had no idea how to run a business, no training, no clue what net profit meant. But I knew one thing. I was decided. When I decided, my mind changed frequency. I started thinking like someone who already had a successful business. I acted like it. In less than a year, that small company generated over $100,000 in today's value. from someone who mopped floors and barely finished school. That's the part most people miss. You don't need to know how you'll get what you want, but you need to act as if you already have it, because that's what changes your vibration. The universe doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to who you are, and you are what you believe, feel, and practice daily. Science has proven the human brain doesn't distinguish reality from imagination when emotionally involved. Neuroscience shows that repeatedly visualizing a goal with emotional engagement activates the same brain areas as if it were actually happening. This doesn't just change your mind, it changes your body, your decisions, your behavior. You transform. And when you change, everything around you changes. But here's what many do without realizing it. They decide what they want, then tell themselves, when the money comes, I'll do it. When I have time, I'll change. When the fear is gone, I'll start. That's low-frequency thinking. That's why results don't come. The decision is vibrating at one frequency and your attitude at another. What does the universe understand? That you're not ready, so it keeps things as they are. How many opportunities have you missed waiting for security? How many projects haven't started because you were waiting for all the resources? Security never comes before the decision. It only appears afterward. Because security is born from confidence. And confidence comes when you change your vibration. Ever thought intensely about someone and they called or sensed something would happen and it did? It's not coincidence, it's vibrational resonance. Your thoughts connect with the other person's energy field. It's real, measurable, and happens constantly. Imagine using this intentionally every day. Imagine starting your day thinking, feeling, and acting like the most prosperous version of yourself. Doesn't matter if you don't have the dream house, the overflowing bank account, or the ideal relationship. You enter that frequency, vibrate it, and the world begins to respond. It's not just imagining, it's embodying that state, putting your whole body into action based on this new thought pattern. Gradually, you'll notice the right ideas appear, the right connections form, coincidences multiply, and doors that seemed locked begin to open. Because everything already exists, nothing is created, nothing is destroyed. It's all here. What determines if you access it is your frequency. You might want everything in the world, but if you continue vibrating scarcity, guilt, anger, doubt, or fear, you'll keep attracting situations confirming those feelings. True change starts within. It begins with what you choose to feel, think, and tune into every day. What you want is already here. You don't need to chase it. You need to become compatible with it. This happens invisibly, before manifesting visibly. Are you willing to change your frequency, even before seeing any material proof? Because if you are, you'll see something few experience, the power of the mind in action, transforming reality from the inside out. The life you live today is the script you wrote, even unconsciously. Most people write this script as extras in their own movie. They don't see themselves as protagonists. They follow lines that aren't theirs, repeat inherited patterns, accept limitations imposed by others, live scenes they hate, but continue because they think there's no choice. There is. There always was. You're the screenwriter, director, and lead actor. You play all the parts, but if you don't take charge, someone else will, and they'll give you a supporting role, or worse, a silent extra. How many times have you said, "I have no choice," or "This is the best I can do for now"? How many times have you let the fear of others' judgment decide for you? How many times have you worried more about what others will think than what you truly want? You're not alone. I've seen this in thousands of people, and often in myself. Once at a seminar, I saw a woman named Ricky sharing her deepest desire. She wanted to open a puppy training academy, a place where people learn to train their dogs with kindness, connection, and fun. Her eyes shone. The emotion was palpable, It was authentic. It was real. But there was a problem. She'd worked as a bartender for 15 years. Good tips, stable. And she was afraid to leave the certain for the uncertain. Afraid of losing security, afraid of failure, and that fear made her behave like an extra in her own story. She did what was expected, not what her soul yearned for. This is far more common than you think. But that day, something changed. When she voiced her true desire, she realized how emotionally connected she was to it, and how much she'd been lying to herself, pretending the bar was the best place to be. Maybe you're experiencing something similar. Maybe you're holding on to a job, a routine, a relationship, a life that you know deep down died long ago. But you stay because it seems safer, more acceptable. It's the role you were given, and you thought you couldn't rewrite the script, but you can. You don't need anyone's permission to live what makes you vibrate. You don't need anyone's understanding, agreement, or applause. You just need one thing: to decide to live as the protagonist. And that takes courage. When you decide to change, those around you will be uncomfortable, not because they don't love you, but because your change requires them to adjust, and not everyone is ready. When you grow, you force others to move, even internally. Many will resist. That's why so many prefer to stay put, not because it's comfortable, but because it's familiar. Familiarity gives a false sense of control. But what's worse, the discomfort of trying something new, or the regret of living a life that was never truly yours? Those who live with purpose, who wake up buzzing with excitement, they're not some alien species. They simply made a choice. They refused to settle for less than they deserved. Picture this. What if you treated yourself like the main character in your own movie? How would your posture shift, your words, your decisions, your daily routine? Would you still say yes to things you hate just to please others? Would you still stifle your thoughts to avoid conflict? You weren't put on this earth to follow someone else's script. You're not here to survive the week and wait for the weekend. Stop sleepwalking through life. You weren't born to be a background player, a passive observer in your own story. You're wired for creation, contribution, for that burning passion that ignites your soul. It all starts with reclaiming your narrative, taking the reins of your own life. Would you keep postponing your dreams out of fear, guilt, or a need for external validation? Or would you stand tall, plant your feet firmly on the ground and declare, "From this moment on, I write my own story"? You have the potential to be anything you want, but you need to step out of the supporting cast and into the spotlight. You have to embrace your greatness, even when others try to dim your shine. And if it feels daunting, breathe deep and remember, nobody can steal your leading role unless you hand it over yourself. So what's it going to be? Will you remain a passive spectator in the theater of your own life? Or will you take center stage and reveal your authentic self to the world? The choice is yours. Always has been, always will be. You'll never receive more than you believe you deserve. You might achieve more temporarily, but you'll always find a way, consciously or unconsciously, to sabotage yourself, to self-sabotage, to regress. It all boils down to your self-image. It's the invisible governor, dictating how much you allow yourself to receive, not your talent or willpower. Your self-perception is the silent regulator, controlling your outcomes. Always. Ever notice how some people, even when they come into money, quickly lose it? They win a prize, get a promotion, inherit a fortune, even win the lottery, and soon they're back where they started. This isn't luck. It's because their internal belief system doesn't allow them to sustain that new level. Your external world is always a reflection of your internal world, always. I know this firsthand. When I started making serious money with my cleaning business, a voice inside me kept whispering, "You don't deserve this. You're not that kind of person." I had a tough childhood, dropped out of school early, lacked formal education, and felt intellectually inadequate. Every time I earned more, I found a way to lose it. I spent recklessly, racked up debt, and made poor choices. Then I realized it wasn't about the money, it was my self-image. As long as my mind believed I was the high school dropout, the temp job failure, a prosperous life was impossible. Because, deep down, I was still that kid. I hadn't accepted my success, and what you don't accept, you repel. What's fascinating is that this self-image is often built by others, parents, teachers, friends, painful experiences. Slowly, you start labeling yourself, I'm anxious, I'm terrible with finances, I'm shy, I'm not good enough. These labels become your identity. You don't question them, you simply live under their influence. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Until you change that image, no technique, no training, no mentor can take you beyond what you believe you are. Take a moment. If you earned 5 times more today, how would you feel? Worthy, capable, or uncomfortable, like something's wrong? That question reveals everything. A fascinating Stanford University study shows our self-image even affects our metabolism. When people believed they were consuming something high-calorie, their bodies produced more ghrelin, the hunger hormone. When they thought it was low-calorie, their bodies reacted differently, even when consuming the exact same thing. This proves your beliefs alter how your body and reality respond. That's incredibly powerful to ignore. Many try to change their external reality without altering their internal image. It's like painting over moldy walls without fixing the dampness. It might look new on the surface, but it continues to deteriorate underneath. That's why so many try and fail, returning to square one. They're not aligned with what they claim to desire. You need to consciously rebuild your self-image, and it starts with your self-talk. Pay attention to your inner dialogue. Do you treat yourself with kindness or self-criticism? Do you praise yourself or belittle yourself? Do you believe you deserve the best life has to offer? Or do you think success is a privilege reserved for others? Start visualizing yourself as the person you want to become. See it clearly, daily. Not just the material possessions, but the posture, attitude, enthusiasm, confidence. Feel it. Walk like that person, talk like that person, make decisions like that person. I once worked with a woman in tears. She had everything to succeed. Talent, experience, charisma, yet she constantly sabotaged her opportunities. Upon deeper investigation, she revealed that she grew up hearing from her mother that rich women don't find husbands, that no man likes a woman who earns more than him. It was ingrained in her mind, and without realizing it, every time she neared prosperity, she found a way to self-destruct. Why? Because deep down she believed that being wealthy meant being alone. That was unacceptable to her. When she reprogrammed that belief, everything changed. Today, she has a happy, healthy, and prosperous relationship. You might be carrying similar beliefs, that success requires suffering, that money is dirty, that you're unlucky, too old, or it's too late. But none of those voices are yours. They were imposed, and you can remove them. You can break free. My challenge to you: for 21 days, write a clear, positive affirmation about the image you want to embody. Something like, I am a prosperous, worthy, and confident person. Do it without fail. Every day. Write it, read it aloud, feel it, and watch how your mind begins to react, how your attitudes start to shift. Self-image isn't static. It can be rebuilt, and when it is, everything changes. Your energy, your decisions, your results. You can have everything you believe you deserve. The question is, how far are you willing to see yourself? Because the limit isn't out there in the world, it's in the mirror. If there's one thing to remember, it's this: the life you live is always proportional to the image you have of yourself. No matter how hard you work, study, or wish, if you don't change how you see yourself, your results will remain limited. True transformation begins within. And now that this seed has been planted, it's time to take the next step. The video playing on your screen will help you climb another rung on this ladder of growth. A chance to become 1% better than you are now. And that 1% day after day transforms everything. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Let's keep moving forward. Are you playing life on easy mode? Seriously, consider this. What if everything you've been taught about success, wealth, and happiness is completely backwards? I know, it sounds crazy, but what if the thing holding you back isn't a lack of money, time, or luck, but an invisible program running in your subconscious, silently sabotaging your efforts? You could be highly educated, a tireless worker, following all the rules, yet stuck in neutral for years. Sound familiar? Then pay close attention, because this might be the most important thing you ever hear. You might be smart, cultured, even well-intentioned, and still feel utterly blocked. That feeling of being held back, like an invisible anchor dragging you down. You wake up determined to change, to do things differently, only to find yourself back where you started at the end of the day. What's wrong with me, you wonder? I'll tell you, it's your paradigm. Most people haven't even heard of it, and even fewer understand its true power. Your paradigm is the collection of beliefs, habits, and patterns deeply ingrained in your subconscious. It's on autopilot, silently controlling your actions. Ever find yourself saying, "I know I should save more. I know I need to end this relationship. I know I should start that business," but never actually doing it? It's not a lack of knowledge. You already know what to do. The problem is you're driving with the emergency brake on. You're pushing the gas pedal, but you're going nowhere. Frustration, guilt, self-doubt, it all stems from this. Let me assure you, there's nothing inherently wrong with you. The issue lies in your deeply ingrained programming. These patterns are often inherited from childhood, your parents, teachers, culture, traumatic experiences. And the kicker? Your programmers were likely programmed themselves. Your parents, for example, taught you what they knew, but they were probably operating from their own limiting paradigms. I remember a woman named Wendy at a workshop in Phoenix. She practically dragged her 24-year-old son there. She knew he needed to hear what I was teaching and confessed, "I'm the one who installed the wrong program in him." I raised him with these limiting beliefs, tears welling in her eyes. She was actively trying to fix it. How many Wendys do you know? How many people have you seen repeating inherited patterns without question? Maybe you're one of them. Maybe you're living a life you never truly chose. You just accepted it. Understanding your paradigm is critical. If you don't understand what's controlling you, you'll never change your results. You can work 12, 14 hours a day, strive, study, be honest. But if your paradigm is scarcity, fear, limitation, you'll always return to square one. Highly intelligent people fail financially because of this. I've seen doctors struggling financially, while others, with barely a high school education, built fortunes. Why? Because your paradigm isn't about intellect. It's subconscious. When your subconscious is programmed for failure, nothing you do consciously will work long-term. Think about all those New Year's resolutions. Lose weight, save money, pay off debt, start a business. That fizzle out after a few months. Paradigm. It pulls you back to where you're conditioned to be. And the biggest danger, you get used to it, normalize stagnation, start saying things like, "That's just how life is. Not everyone is meant to be rich. I just want enough to get by." That's your paradigm talking. I've been there. As a young man, I dropped out of school, my self-esteem shattered, ambition non-existent. I worked at gas stations, changing oil, mopping floors, taking whatever came my way. Maybe that's what you're missing. Understanding you're not broken, just following a script you didn't write, but you can rewrite it. How many decisions have you put off thinking, "It's not for me"? How many times have you felt stuck without understanding why? How many opportunities have slipped away, even though you knew you wanted them? That's the power of your paradigm, and it's real. But now you're aware, and awareness is the first step to freedom. One day I sliced my thumb with a saw. I remember it vividly, the dangling flesh. The physical pain was just the surface. The deeper wound was the realization that I had no idea what to do with my life. I was lost, trapped in a cycle I didn't understand. Back then, I didn't know what a paradigm was, but after reading Think and Grow Rich and delving into this concept, everything clicked. The problem wasn't a lack of ability, it was faulty programming. That gave me power. The difference between those who achieve extraordinary lives and those trapped in frustration and dissatisfaction isn't intelligence, effort, or talent. It's the ability to make a decision and commit to it. It sounds simple, but that's where most people stumble. They don't decide. They wait, procrastinate, doubt, and end up living half a life. For years I've observed this, analyzing those who failed and those who amassed great wealth. The pattern is clear. Those who fail decide slowly and change their minds easily. The successful make quick, firm decisions. They don't wait for perfect conditions. They act. That idea you've had for ages, that desire to start a business, change careers, end a relationship, write a book, move to a new city. Why haven't you done it? Waiting for certainty, waiting for money, waiting for the right time? Let me tell you, with kindness and sincerity, the right time will never arrive. Because the decision creates the moment, not the other way around. People say they procrastinate, they're afraid, they can't get started. But no one ever taught them the power of decision. Decision is an act of creation. When you truly decide, I will do this, not I'll try, not I'll see, you shift your thought frequency, your vibration, your behavior, and everything around you starts to realign with that new direction. I've recommended people read the chapter on decision in Think and Grow Rich for 60 days straight, because it's not just text, it's reprogramming. Napoleon Hill analyzed over 25,000 failures. Lack of decision topped the list. Look at your own life. How many opportunities are buried in the graveyard of indecision? I remember Phil Goldfine. He was unhappy at work, underpaid, directionless, no money, no plan. But he had something rare, a willingness to follow a decision.